Hi, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Maureen Krinsley from the New York Society of Women Artists. This is my studio here. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I studied art at Skidmore College, and I studied psychology also, which led me to being very interested at first in art therapy. So I actually worked with lots of patients up in Saratoga and young children doing art therapy, and then led me to Pratt Institute, where I got a master's of professional studies in art therapy and studied very closely with Cliff Joseph, who's just passed away, who is a great advocate in New York City. And after that, I worked for a number of years in art therapy, and later in my life, I started being much more dedicated to doing fine arts. And I'll show you a little bit around my studio, but mainly my work right now is interested in trying to suggest my interest in sea life, or in just the environment in general. I've spent a lot of time in the British Virgin Islands, where we have a home, and suffered through a stage 5 hurricane. So, preceding that, which was about in 2017, I started painting about some of the effects of global warming on the ocean, and I worked on the idea of particles of plastic invading the ocean and our sea life, like corals and turtles. And my work is abstract. It's definitely abstract landscape. And I'll walk you around my studio and show you a little bit about it. I guess I should start with the painting that I sent in to be juried, and it's over here. This painting is a grid, and I laid the lower part of it. I laid grids down of flora and coral, and there's a turtle here, as you see. I don't know if you see it, but there was under the water here is a turtle, and here is some coral life. Here is the human hand interrupting it. We have, in the interruption, this winter of COVID, which is sort of sloshing through the environment here, and just things floating, in this grid, suggesting our intrusion on nature. And even with COVID, it's come about, initially due to deforestation. So that gives you a little bit of an idea about that painting. And this is another landscape I'm working on, and it also has a lot of floating objects, and the floating objects are a reference to sort of things invading our environment right now. As well as this work over here. I started out thinking that this was a sort of a seascape, dark night, and then as I painted it, it changed. It took on a life of its own. It became more of a lunar landscape, and also the thoughts of, part of the environment, and how that is also affecting Earth, and all these particles that are also invasive, because if you look up in the sky, there are so many satellites, and we're wondering what they're doing. So I'll just take you this painting here is more concerned about light, and it's really a painting that I'm also interested in color and light and layering, and this is another painting I'm working on. And over here, this painting is also about the particles in our environment. It's particles that are invisible, but they're there, and they're sort of intrusive, but it's about the floating and of these things that are in our environment and are affecting the Earth and global warming. So I think You can see through my studio, I'm actively painting. And I'm still very interested in the community and art therapy and how we are working with our children in education and bringing the arts to everyone. So thank you.